It's a chilled Sunday afternoon. You can sit back and enjoy your break. But, well, not our men in blue because they have their second prelim exam today before the big board exam. Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher. I have one invigilator with me in class today and one watching from the screen. Welcome DK, welcome Zach. How are you all doing today?
Oh, very well. Looking forward to the game. Expecting some changes as India has won the first one. So and looking at the big tournament, you know that there will be some things changed for this game. Just waiting to hear about that.
DK, I want to ask is, what kind of a student were you? Were you someone who used to be prepared? You had all the answers to the questions? Were you someone who used to pretend like you were not prepared but used to have all the answers to the questions?
The second one is you, Sammy. Forget me. The one who's prepared everything and behaves like you don't know much. The first one, I was okay. I wasn't a great student or anything. I was managing my bit. So, I was a okay student, unlike you who pretends to not know much, but then you ace it when the time comes.
No, Zach, India is looking like one of those students who, since the Asia Cup, has had all the answers to their question marks, that question paper that has been set to them.
Yeah, it's a good place to be in for any team. For looking at the big tournament, you want a certain preparation, certain things which you want to see before you get into the tournament. And from that point of view, if you look at the Indian squad, a lot of the contributions from various individuals is what you want to look at. End of the day, it's a team game for you to consistently do well. You can't rely on one or two players. When you have more contributors to the success of the team, it just becomes that much easier for you to create that momentum in a big tournament. And Indian team is right up there with that. You've seen the bowling contributions, you've seen Bumrah coming back from injury, so those concerns were there. How is he going about doing his bowling workload? He's bowled 10 overs in the previous game, so that's a great sign. Siraj came up with a terrific spell in Asia Cup. You've seen great partnership between Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya in that crucial game against Pakistan when the top order didn't really fire. So all those aspects are there. Shubman Gill, even though against Bangladesh, India lost, but he still managed to hold the game together and had that great 100. So all those things are good signs for Indian team to get into the big tournament.
Zach, that graphic that they were just showing us, it almost reminds me of what the Gujarat Titans team was doing to the IPL. It was like everyone is contributing, and I think, like you said, that leads to the success of a team when everyone contributes because it is a team game. But DK, the other day you chatted about how a world number one correlates to them winning a tournament, and our friends at Sky Sports actually had a little graphic which I found very interesting because it was in lines with what you were talking about. From 1987 to 2019, we see there have been 4 winners who have ranked number 1 and gone ahead to win the World Cup. So this definitely merits for a discussion, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If you do look at the last 5 World Cups, 4 of them have been ranked first and gone on to win the tournament. And just the one aberration is actually India. Zach was part of that squad and they were second. So which tells you that there is a correlation between being number 1, which basically means you've played consistent and good cricket throughout the year. And when you walk into the World Cup with that sort of performance and confidence, it generally and definitely helps you in a big tournament like that. And for India, the biggest hurdle would be the big semi-finals. When they reach that destination, they need to play a game which is very proactive and the belief that they can go ahead and do whatever is required and not second guess themselves. But it is a great stat, and I know Zach, being one of those who was a very integral part of India's win, can tell you walking into the World Cup, being number 2 placed, how it feels going into a World Cup, which is a home World Cup again.
Zach, for fans like me, it's almost like 2011 May, the World Cup was in India. We were world number 2. It's fine if we are world number 2. We want that result. Are you someone who believes in any of these rankings, superstitions, or you're someone who just goes ahead and plays the game?
No, rankings, I look at it just as a reflection of how the team is doing. DK was rightly pointing it out that if you are number 1, that means you are doing a whole lot of things properly. You are winning consistently. I think, that consistency is a big factor for any team to be one of the top teams. So rankings are reflection of that. But when you look at a tournament, I think it's about clicking at the right time. That is something which is very important. It's just about creating that momentum. And when you're looking at a tournament like World Cup and this format, you know that there are certain teams which you want to beat in the league stage. And the tough teams. If you're managing to do that, it's just going to be that much easier for you to get into the semis. And once you get into the semis, then that's when that real day comes to foray, and you have to really put your best foot forward. And by that time, you got to have that belief and that momentum which we often speak about, peaking at the right time. Whether your squad has that or not, the success of the tournament is dependent on that. You look at England team also in 2019, the way they were building it up, and the way the clarity in terms of the template of cricket which they wanted to play, the brand of cricket which they wanted to play. They wanted to be approaching white ball cricket in a certain manner, and then it resulted in that. Tough situations will happen, but what will get you out from those tough situations is your lookout and your recent past. So when you're looking at India's recent past right now, the tough tournaments against tough oppositions, how you've been flaring up, all those things are going to matter. And those signs are good signs right now, because there are a lot of individuals in that team which are ticking those boxes in terms of being ready for the big tournament.
Well, we've
quite
got
fabulous.
news. Sorry, DK.
If you do look at the stat that you just put up as to number one, and how they go on to win the World Cup, and you take the last stat, the last 6 matches performance, and you see that when it comes to India, there's Rohit's name, Shubman's name, Virat's name, KL Rahul, Surya Kumar. So this basically the whole batting lineup. And you go to the bowling, you see Jadeja's name, Kuldeep's name, Shardul Thakur's name, you see Hardik Pandya, Siraj, and Bumrah, who should be there because he's obviously done really well. So we're talking about 11, 12 players in the current Indian team who have done well in different places. And that is a very, very good sign leading into the World Cup. Just like you said, I think you were right when you said very similar to Gujarat Titans, who had a different man of the match almost every time they won a game. This is also a very similar stat that there are different people performing at different points, which should give a lot of confidence to Team India walking into that World Cup start of October.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we can go on with the World Cup discussions because that's all which is on our minds. But we've got a lot of news from the centre. Australia has won the toss. They've decided to bowl first. The surprise there is Steve Smith has come out as captain. Pat Cummins is not available today. We speak about India first because Australia has got a whole lot of changes. With India, there's just Bumrah who's not playing, and Prasidh Krishna is going to be playing. We'll have a look at India's playing 11. I think they mentioned that, Bumrah's gone back home to his family. And this whole rotation policy is something which, everyone seems to be happy with, saying let's rest the pacers a little bit. Zach, how important is this?
Well, I think we were mentioning that, isn't it? And I think it was individual call. When you're looking at the prep, you're looking at Bumrah ticking those boxes, so he's gone to Ireland series, he's played Asia Cup, and now here he's done that workload concern which everyone had, after a big injury, always coming back into international cricket at the highest level. It's never easy. So you got to just pace yourself as well. 22nd India played the previous game. 24th is today, and there was only one day in between with the travel also accounted for. It's not going to be easy for anyone to have that kind of a burden at this stage, especially when you're coming out of a big injury. So I think that's the kind of thought process here which is evident. And also it's a great opportunity for Prasidh Krishna, because he's someone who is going to be just on the periphery of that World Cup squad with regard to the bowling department. So it just makes it easier for the team management to tick that box also, that if need be, he's got that game time. So they're just using this opportunity in that manner, I feel.
But DK, is it a surprise that they've not gone ahead with Siraj? I mean, considering again we saw what he did in the Asia Cup, to just give him that little more match time?
I'm not surprised they haven't gone to Siraj. They're just giving him an extended break. In an ideal world, I think, given when they reflect back, they could have probably rested Siraj for the first 2 matches like the others. At least Bumrah played this game. If they're not going to play both these players, they could have rested Siraj, which would have been an extended break after the Asia Cup, which could have been well deserved for him, and he did need it. So he's traveling with the team and he's not playing. So I guess he'll be doing carrying drinks, which in a way is stressful as well, because you need to get up, you need to get ready, you need to warm up, you need to prepare yourself. You're doing all of that. And then you're getting a break. So, I mean, it is easy for me to say, but I'm sure they have their reasons. But having said that, India, very similar to what we had thought. I've gone in with just the one change. But what is interesting from Australian point of view for me when you look at the 11 would be the fact that Mitchell Marsh led Australia in South Africa for the whole time. But today, when Steven Smith has come back, it's Steven Smith who's the captain. So Steven Smith is the nominated vice captain. So this says when there is a conversation between a Smith or a Marnus Labuschagne, Smith will be starting for sure at all points. A, because he's the vice captain, and B, because he's the premier batsman for Australia for some time now.
DK, just a little on Prasidh Krishna also. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but were you the captain when he came into the team at KKR?
Absolutely. He was one of those bowlers who had done really well in Vijay Hazare. And that happened post the auction. So nobody had picked him at that stage. And then he was very impressive. Was the highest wicket taker for Karnataka. Took them all the way to the finals. And you could see there's a lot of skill there. And he's got height. He's got movement. What at times he does do is sometimes in matches, he tries to outthink a batsman a little too much, which would mean that he would set a field for a certain ball, but then he would do something very different to what he set it for. He would double bluff a lot more than what a captain would like. That is what I have seen. But in terms of pure skill, I think he is right up there with some of the best fringe bowlers that India has. He's got all the skills. I'm sure Zach could elaborate a lot about his technical skills. He looks like a bowler who could easily play all three formats, and that's a luxury that India have.
You know, DK, is interesting you said he outthinks the batsman, because I read somewhere that he'd spoken about how he used to always just want to bowl really quickly and bowl bouncers when he was younger. And he said it was Omkar Salvi who told him that, you know, you need to just get a little more intelligent with the way you bowl and not go so much for the pace. So what is it about him that's changed over the course of time?
See, the natural instincts of a bowler is pretty much based on, you know, what your strengths are. So when you look at Prasidh Krishna, he's tall, so he's going to get that extra bounce. So as a kid, obviously, you're going to be excited about that, right? Like in your age group, you would be able to bounce the batters out. They will be scared of you, you know, all those kind of things. So you just kind of get into that habit of doing that often, because that at that level has got you success. But as you play higher and higher, you got to adapt. You will meet and face different batters who are well accomplished, solid technique, not going to be afraid of all those things. Then that becomes difficult for you. The pressure falls back onto you, and that's when you respond, and that's when you evolve also as a bowler. You know, so that is the process, which is no exception to anyone. Prasidh Krishna, I think, is just getting better and better as he's playing more. The injury setback has not really helped him, but if you look at it, just leading up to that, he was getting at that level where he could have cemented the place in the Indian team, and then he had to take few steps back. He has to be patient right now. He is in the periphery of the squad, which means that the team management also believes in his ability, his skill set, what he brings to the table. His strength is always going to be that extra bounce. You've seen it with West Indies also. When he got that success in Ahmedabad, he was getting that extra bounce and troubling all sorts of batters. That will be the case with him. He's got the backup in having that very linear action, very simplified action that just helps him with the lines also. And I've seen him bowl those wide Yorkers, changing the line. That's not easy for every bowler. You know, if your action is not supporting that, you will find those challenges as you approach. With Prasidh, those strengths are there. So he can play around with that. He can add more variations and create that scenario for himself where that extra bounce becomes his advantage. And everyone is going to be prepared for that. So you need to add those different length deliveries to keep the batsman guessing and to stay in front of any batter. So that is the process which will follow. But he's a very talented bowler.
He must just
Sorry,
be
Zach,
wondering.
I'll just come in here. Just one small question to you, Zach. Do you think he has it in him skill-wise to play all three formats, Zach?
Absolutely. I think, you know, that's something which I certainly feel when I see him. Every time he bowls, and that extra bounce is required. The consistency in length is also required for you to play the longish format. So as you're getting into ODIs also, you know, you need that stock delivery, which is just back of the length, getting that that extra bounce. Hip high is, as all the bowlers in the team meeting, they keep talking about, especially when they're playing white ball format. So he has that natural length. So that is going to add to him, but the consistency is something which will aid him to play the test matches as well. And that's why you're seeing him you're seeing from the team management also, they're backing him and they're kind of, creating atmosphere around him to just follow that process and be ready for all the formats.
Well, I think, I don't know if secretly you wish he had started in Mohali, because as a bowler, you would have preferred to bowl at Mohali over Indore. But I'm going to have a look at my Cricbuzz app and now check the Australia 11, because there's so many changes that I have to refer to the app. We'll have a look at the playing 11 here. 4 changes that we see. 3 changes that we see. Spencer Johnson is in, Hazelwood is in, and Alex Carey is in. There's no Stoinis, Cummins and Marsh. DK, lot of surprises here. We knew we'd see a lot of changes, but not so many maybe.
Yeah, for a start, Mitchell Marsh not playing. Now I understand why Stephen Smith is the captain. So you would like to think that Mitchell Marsh is the nominated vice captain. He isn't playing today as well. So there is Marsh, Cummins and Stoinis not playing. And here gives an opportunity for a proper fast bowling attack. We have Spencer Johnson, who's a young guy who's done really well in BBL and has had a very impressive time in the 100 as well. He was a well-spoken about name in Australian circles when he got picked for the tour of South Africa. And he played the T20s, bowled sharp. He is not somebody who will bring the ball back in so much. I think Zach again can allude to that and explain that a little more. But he's got proper bounce. Reminds you a little bit of a yesteryear Australia bowler called Dirk Nannes, where he's got pace, bounce, but not so much this ball that comes back in. Josh Hazelwood, I guess we all know how good he is. And it's good to see Alex Carey back. And I think they need that left-hander in the middle, which will help them through the middle overs.
You know, Zach, actually Cummins had made a statement that he's not captain to the white ball format too much since last year. I think he's got probably 2 games if I'm not wrong. And he said that he wants to captain for a longer time. He also said he wanted to captain all these 3 games. So I don't quite know why he's not in. But would we have liked to see him with a little more consistency leading up to the World Cup?
Well, obviously it's a forced change, and with fast bowlers, the niggles, the injuries at times keep you away from the game. We have to see what's the case with Pat Cummins, but for Australian team that is definitely going to be a challenge if there is a niggle and he has to miss few games. The continuity, consistency also matters with the team environment, how a captain sees the game, how he leads his troop matters quite a lot in these tournaments. So you would want him to play all the games, and he would also want to play all the games. Otherwise, it just becomes challenging. Like Steve Smith has a completely different feel to the game. How Pat Cummins sees it, how he uses his bowlers also changes, and those changes doesn't let the bowling unit also settle down. With batting, it's pretty much, the batting lineup is pre-decided. You know that in certain situations we'll be using a certain individual to be pushed up the order or something of that sort tactically. But other than that, I think the bowling is something how the captain also sees it, how he wants to use his resources. And if there is a shift in that, it becomes challenging at times for all the bowlers to keep up. So that is one concern which Australia will have. I hope it's not a long injury, but Pat Cummins himself has said it, that he want to be out there and lead so that he gets the feel of it and be ready for the big tournament.
But DK, no surprise that Josh Hazelwood is in, because, we spoke about this in the last game, that they needed someone to spearhead the attack. Unfortunately, I think Stark is still not totally recovered from the strain that he has. But Hazelwood in adds to the power that they need in the bowling.
Hazelwood has been really good with the new ball. Where he struggled in the last few matches is bowling at the death. I think the South Africans got hold of him in quite a few innings where they really took him down at the back end of the innings. And that has been an issue for Hazelwood for some time through his career, whereas his time with CSK and RCB have actually helped him to become a better death bowler. He was always known to be one of those who could hit a good length, cause trouble with the new ball, but he's really worked on his skill at the back end of an inning. Though in this last series and the one before, the one area where he's been found wanting is bowling at the death. And that is an area which Australia do have a problem with, because Pat Cummins also is very similar in the sense that very good at the top, very good through the middle, but not the best death bowler. Their only good death bowler right now is Mitchell Stark. So at times it could be a toss-up between whether need a Josh Hazelwood or somebody else who could bowl at the death, though their options are actually thin, considering the only other option they have is Sean Abbott. That is always going to be a bit of a dilemma for them. When it comes to Pat Cummins, when we watched the game, he's come in with a wrist injury, and I think he's just recovered from it and he's feeling okay. But while fielding the last game, he got hit on the finger as well. He was struggling a bit, and I think that is the reason probably why he's not playing today.
You know, I wanted to ask you all, did you all follow WWE when you all were younger at all?
Not
You know, they used to have this triple threat clash. DK, I don't know if you followed it at all.
I do.
But you know, the triple threat clash used to be when three people used to fight for the title. It almost feels like the Indian middle order is going into that triple threat clash and nobody knows who's going to get that slot in. Is it safe to say that KL Rahul has cemented himself in and now it's again a fight between Shreyas, Kishan, and after what Surya did the other day, Surya comes into that?
See, one thing here, you have to just go back and see how the press conference had happened after the squad announcement. And they were very clear that all the 15 which are going to be part of the World Cup are going to be in contention for those playing 11 slots. And that's how they've been preparing. So if you see the lead up also and the rotation of players which you've been talking about is reflection of that. So they want everyone to be ready to be taking part in the playing 11. Tactically also that gives you a little bit of advantage. You've seen with Australian lineup when it's an all right-handed lineup. Tactically some team can look to take advantage of that fact in the middle overs especially. So when you're looking at Indian team, Ishan Kishan might have that advantage going in there.
Yeah.
Also, you have to see how KL is keeping, whether it's a long tournament, so at times he will need a rest from keeping. So that also gives you that flexibility of putting Ishan Kishan. Shreyas Iyer has been not able to get himself going right now. So he needs that one innings or maybe couple of innings to get into the groove, get that momentum going into the tournament and his own personal game. So that is the stage he is in. After injury, you've seen with KL also you've seen, with Bumrah also you've seen you need those performances, you need that confidence and that restart of sorts. So that is something which KL has achieved. Shreyas is still looking for that. With Surya, you've seen that last 50 also, that initial time which he's taken, that gave him that little bit of understanding maybe in ODI cricket how to approach, so that's something which we're still looking at. Everyone is ready right now in those three names which you are talking about. Who is going to take part? I think it's the luxury with the team right now. That all these guys will be there. Shreyas is only the slight bit of concern, I think, when you're looking at those names. He needs some game time, some runs under his belt to feel secured and confident about his game right now.
DK, if you were to put the selector's hat on, who would you pick for the middle order in the three, considering I guess KL is in?
For a start, it is hard to put on a selector's hat on right now. And I'll tell you why I say this. If you do look, the first game is against Australia in Chennai. So there could definitely be a role for spinners to, in a big way, to dominate that game. And among the three players, the good point here is if there is a common thread between all three players, they're all good players of spin. But I think Shreyas Iyer is earmarked to bat at 3 or 4 max. Whereas Surya and Ishan Kishan have been earmarked to bat at 5, 6 and 7. A lot more at 5, 6 for Surya, for Ishan, and 5, 6 and 7 for Surya. It will all boil down to who is batting at their best right now. The only advantage Ishan has over them is the fact that he is a left-hander. But the one thing with Ishan that we have seen in Asia Cup and we've seen in the last game is his ability to rotate strike against spinners is not one of his plus points. He plays big shots or he defends a lot of the ball. So that is the only area which they need to look at very closely to see who needs to be at number 5. I think the rest of the batting order is probably set with Virat at 3, KL at 4 and 6 we have Hardik Pandya. At number 5, who is your batter? Is it going to be Surya or is it going to be Ishan Kishan at this point of time? Or if Shreyas Iyer has a brilliant run from here on in, we have 4 more games to play before they head to Chennai for the first game. That will be the question there. Who is playing spin well and who is able to rotate spin well? That will be the big question that they ask.
Yeah, I guess only time will tell the answers to this because it's something that we are all asking. And there's something else which I would like to show you all, a little graphic that our team has made, which looks really beautiful because there's number 1, lots of number 1s that India has. We see all the number 1s here. There's just one slot, which is the number 2 ODI batter, and that is Shubman Gill. Otherwise, we are number 1 everywhere else. But Gill is also looking forward to a big milestone this year. He is, I think, just a little behind the master. He has Mount Sachin that he wants to conquer. I think he's 700 odd runs behind him to score the maximum runs in a year. Do you think this is going to happen this year, Zach, for Gill?
Well, he has got a great chance of achieving that. He's had a terrific year. Few bad innings, but on the whole, if you see what he has achieved in this year in all the cross formats, it's phenomenal. So you need to really cash in on these kind of years in your international cricket. And he's had this year, I can say, very early in his career, which is a great positive sign. But you need that kind of attitude and approach, which he has. He's got that hunger of scoring runs. He loves scoring hundreds. He spends that much time. Whatever you hear from people, his approach to the game is very old school in that way. Likes to spend a lot of time in the nets, likes to work on his fitness, wants to cover all the bases, and approach to the game is very methodical. So that is something to his advantage, going to help him achieve and have many years like this in his career. So looking at that, this is certainly a number which he will be chasing. He has got enough time to achieve it. We are still in September right now. So,
he has 14 odd games left.
So 14 odd games. You are talking about, say, keeping that average of 50 plus. He's currently averaging 70 in this year. So you got to keep up with that average. He's already scored 550s, 400s. And you look at Sachin, when he achieved it, he's got 900s. And he's someone who will be looking at hundreds for sure. So I think more than anything, he should look at that number of 900s in a year. If he's looking at that, he will end up scoring more runs than what he's thinking and go past the master.
DK, I've always chatted with you about this. I just aesthetics and cricket are so important to me. So when I watch a Shubman Gill or a Ruturaj Gaikwad the other day, aesthetically they look so beautiful. So can we expect this number to be crossed by Gill?
It's not going to be easy. You have to understand, if he was only playing bilaterals, it would have been a lot easier. The fact that he's playing a World Cup in 9 different venues and he'll be having a couple of ODIs, probably year-ending time against South Africa, it's not going to be easy. Scoring 700 runs across 14 games from here on is a massive challenge, and throwing a World Cup in between all that, the pressure is very different. If you're playing a bilateral, it's very, very different. World Cup is very different. So it is a mountain to climb, but also I think I need to take this opportunity to speak about the mountain. I all feel we're all living in Sachin Tendulkar's universe. I mean, for somebody to do what he's done 25 years ago, basically bat a year at a strike rate of 100 plus in ODI cricket. First, I should thank Navjot Singh Sindhu because he wasn't available. He got his opportunity and then the rest is history, as they say. But to do it in 1998, man, that is so special to have somebody batting at a strike rate of 100 plus. I keep saying this, when it comes to Sachin, there's only this one poster that I'll never ever forget. It was in a game that I was watching on the TV, obviously, and there was a poster saying, Sachin Tendulkar India minus Sachin Tendulkar is equal to 0. I mean, I think that sums up Indian cricket at that stage. He was everything and more that Indian team needed and had, actually.
DK, I'm so glad you brought this up because I was given strict instructions that you cannot do your fangirling for very long. We have to discuss the match. We have to discuss Gill and what he's done, which is fantastic. But I'm just glad that DK brought it up because that strike rate, like he said, 102 in 1998 is phenomenal, and he's done this time and time again. But I've been given these instructions that I can't go on talking about the master.
You had a pre-show chat with him, na?
No pre-show chat.
I can't talk about it, so you started that I can talk about it.
No, the producer has told me that this cannot become, because then I go on and the time of the show goes away. So
every time you talk about Sachin, that's how it
happens.
Goes. But what DK is saying is right. You're still talking about the numbers, and everyone is chasing those numbers. It doesn't matter what format you're playing. What you're looking at is always what he has achieved. Like, you look at Shubman Gill, is at a terrific year,
yes,
but you're still looking at 900s to 400s.
Yes.
So that's the gap which you're talking about, and that's the gap which Shubman has to fill now if he has to go past him.
But as a cricket lover, cricket fan, we hope that Gill goes past that, because like the baton has to be carried forward. What also has to be carried forward is our tradition of answering Mr. Joy Bhattacharya's question. So we'll have a look at the joy factor for the day. If we manage to read this correctly, I'm sure we'll have the answers coming our way. This cricketer's debut and final ODI were both in Mirpur. Likewise, he played his first and last T20 match on another ground, the final being in 2012. Name the cricketer and his debut international match. DK? Any guesses at all?
Yeah, I think I'll get the answer though if I think hard. Somebody has played 2012. I think we should know who it is. So I have to think. Give me the 7 hours time. I'll get you the answer. I have to think nice and hard.
Zach, I think we'll read the question a few more times later and then we'll think about this. But we'll have a look at both the teams once again. India is going to be batting first. Australia, with a lot of changes, is India's playing 11. The only change there is Bumrah is out. Prasidh Krishna is in. And we'll also have a look at Australia's playing 11. 3 changes in there. Steve Smith captains today. So we'll wait and watch what we have in store. Now our prediction, which is also very important, which we didn't do very well in the last match. So your prediction for the 50 over point?
I think 310. Considering it's a smallish ground, India batting first, they'll know the conditions a bit better. I think 311 should be good.
311?
Yeah.
Okay, DK?
360.
Whoa.
It might turn, huh, DK?
I haven't seen the pitch report, Zach. This is the problem in Cricbuzz. You have blindly guessing some number.
But you've seen enough Indian cricket, na, for you to know. It might be little bit on the slowish side, turner.
I actually want them to get 360. It'll be a good game. It's a small ground though.
Oh, so you're saying even if it's 360, it's going to be a close game?
Definitely. Yeah. Almost New Zealand chased down 400 the last time. So yeah, it's going to be a good game.
Well, India's had a record of winning 6 games at Indore. I feel this probably is going to be hope. This is the 7th. 311 for Zach, 360 for DK. I'm going to go with 328 for me. Going to be a little up. We'll wait and watch because we didn't do very well in the prediction game the last time. So let's see if we come close to the prediction this time. I think this is all the time we have right now, because something that I want to go and run and do is go down to the Hindi studio, because someone who got a double century in Indore is sitting down, Mr. Virendra Sehwag. So I'd like to pick his head on that. So I'm running there. You all go and watch the match, and don't forget to join us at the 15th over point, the Cricbuzz Combox. See you soon.